I'm delighted to be joined by Alexandra and Zachary from Twin Temple. Guys, we did an interview a little while ago that didn't run, so a lot of this is going to be kind of questions just getting the message and all of those things out, but something that has happened since we last spoke has been 2020. So how has lockdown been for you guys who were kind of at the end of an album cycle, or it felt like at least?
Yeah, I think last we spoke, had we gone to Europe, or were we just
gearing up to go?
Just about to go.
Yeah.
That's right. We're just about to go to Europe. So
yeah, we made it out to Europe. You know,
we just made it out to Europe, pretty much. Like, it was like Indiana Jones, like grabbing the hat under the closing wall. I think we got back the day before they closed the borders.
Yeah, it was close.
So we were really lucky. Some of our friends were not that lucky. They were just like off the map.
Yeah, just had started a tour, 2 days in, and the borders shut down. So.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
The whole thing sucks, and obviously, like everyone else, we miss playing live. But in our opinion, we got super duper lucky. So we're just sort of like, it could have been a lot worse. And we've just been using lockdown to, write music, and we did the Strip from the Crypt album, polish our skulls, and
I guess, so let's go back to the very beginning, to kind of set the scene for people who are less familiar with all things Twin Temple. Los Angeles band, and Los Angeles has a history of bringing through things that are not necessarily on vogue at the time. Like, it feels like this is a place where freaks get to burst open. Like, I walk past Jane's Addiction's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame all the time, and I get inspired by the fact that this is a town that can put Jane's Addiction next to Jack Nicholson. What's it like being an artist, even in a town as widespread and with as much going on as LA, and to feel different to other bands, be it sonically or ethically, or what is it like being the freak in a city of freaks?
Well, feel right at home.
Yeah, I mean, we're
love
used
it.
to being freaks pretty much wherever we go, so that's pretty par for the course. But I mean, LA, we fucking love LA. I mean, we're super inspired by living here. I think just the history of, like, the occult history of LA as a whole really resonates with us. I mean, you're talking about Jack Parsons, blowing himself up less than half a mile from where we are right now. And at the same time, like, we've lived in, like, East LA, Northeast LA pretty much our whole time we've been out here. And, you've got the, like, lowriders cruising the boulevard. You've got doo-wop. And like the oldies, so you've got all of this stuff kind of coming together in the city, and there's always new stuff where we're just like, oh, should we go check out, like random stuff around the city. There's all kinds of things to discover. So, I mean, we love LA, and I don't think like this band really could be made anywhere else. To a degree,
I love the fact that it took 2 questions for the occult to come up, because when we exist in the world of heavy metal, right? Like the concept of Satan and those kind of themes being brought to the table is not new to our palates, and yet when we look at where the world is now, and you watch documentaries like Hail Satan being put out there, and the modern face of Satanism changing, do you feel like you're a good representative for all things satanic when it comes to our world, and maybe where the face of Satanism is more in the modern age, as opposed to people saying, I've seen Anton LaVey with naked ladies and that's about all I know about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, hopefully we're not the end-all be-all representative of Satanism, because the thing that's so diabolical about Satanism is that it encourages free will and individualism. So Satanism does and should look different for every person that practices it. There's no one correct way. to practice Satanism or to embody Satanism. So I think the whole premise of that, you know, saying there's a real Satanism or whatever is just totally like bunk. You know, real Satanists, I always like to say that real Satanists know there's no such thing as a real Satanist. You know?
Yeah.
Like
I would agree. I would agree wholeheartedly.
There are obviously like crabby gatekeepers out there who try to insist that their one interpretation of it is the one way, but that kind of reeks of other dogmatic religions that we don't really care to take part in.
Yeah,
so.
It's a living tradition. You know, it's constantly evolving for sure.
And I think it goes hand in hand with I've literally just stopped talking to Jason from Fever 333 about things like this. But it's fucking great to me that I've stood in the Roxy with Jason, who talks about a certain sort of liberation, playing his show in the Roxy, and I've seen you play a sold out show there too, and like similar message, different way of conveying it. So from where I sit, your message seems to be one of peace, harmony, individuality, and acceptance. Is that
to a degree? Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Where's the line? Is what I was. You've preempted my question. Where is the line?
Well, I think that it would be limiting to only say we stand for peace and harmony and, you know, positivity. Not because we attempt to embody, you know, negativity, but our whole approach and belief with Satanism is the idea of transcending the binary. So to us, it's about doing away with these false limitations, these false dichotomies, mother, whore, good, evil, you know, right, wrong. I mean, of course we desire peace, but it's like all things exist in a binary world, and you know, to only say that we embody love and happiness and goodness, it would be a very imbalanced, I think, approach in general. And I mean,
yeah, Satanism is very much about humanism, you know. So it's about again embracing all that is human, which is, you know, the good and the bad, you know, because there's peace, there is war.
Unfortunately, that's sort of the reality that we live in. So we're definitely not like Pollyanna about it, you know, like we understand that the world's fucked up right now. You know, you would have to be blind to not see, you know, or ignorant to see that there's so much wrong going on with our society. And so I think we embody that as well, like trying to push back against that status quo and trying to push back against these norms, because we accept that we strive for harmony, but we're living in a disharmonious society. So it's kind of about overcoming those limitations and recognizing the duality in all things.
Now, I'm going to talk about taking that message to places that are not au fait or accepted of that message. But I just wanted to just stay on the modern interpretation of the religion, because it feels now that there is more access to information than ever before in this realm. And when there's brilliant people out there like Jason Louv and Mitch Horowitz and incredible people putting what I feel is good philosophies out there, do you think, like, being an open Satanist is something that feels more acceptable or not? Because it's easy for people in the shadows who practice this thing, who have just a daily life, to feel that way. But when you are a public face for that kind of thing, like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty mixed, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that coming out of the broom closet has been all, you know, shits and giggles. I mean, we were not really sure what it would mean to put that part of our identity into our music, because it's something we had never done before for obvious reasons. And shortly after we came out, we happened to be in this newspaper article in the LA Times about our brand of Satanism, and it like caught the eye of Alex Jones.
No way!
Who he started off his segment saying, "This band is the embodiment of pure evil."
Superb.
Because in the article we basically said "fuck Trump," and he was like, "They are trying to combat Trump and all this kind of stuff.
Powers of the devil.
Use the powers of the devil to do so." And it was like, and at first we were like laughing, right? Because it was hysterical to us. But the next morning we woke up to having been doxxed by his followers. Like all of our personal information had been leaked.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah, and like we legit got not one, but multiple like legit death threats.
Yeah.
So we were literally just like woke up and we're like, fuck. It wasn't that funny at that moment in time, especially because that weekend we had a show. And this is when we were first starting out. So we were like playing dive shows, you know, like little bars and stuff. So we had a little bar show in San Diego. It's like a bar. It's not even a venue. On the floor.
Yeah,
no security.
Yeah.
One bartender. Dive bar, you know? And we also said "fuck the Proud Boys" in the article, and so they're like cool, like tweeting us.
Yeah, they
and
started
shit.
sharing it out between all their like cronies. You know,
Like,
oh, we're gonna be at the show.
Our San Diego chapter will be there to like fuck you up and stuff.
This is the most schoolyard shit ever. I'll see you after geography. Like,
yeah. So like we would be lying if we said we didn't have some concerns, especially in a bar show where you're fucking playing with your face next to someone else and they can literally just do whatever, like, you know.
Yeah, man.
While you're on stage, it's like we've had like a knife pulled out on us before, so we're a little like skittish once in a while. And we're definitely.
Where was the knife? Like I can't just let that one slide. Oh yeah, we had a knife pulled on us. Yeah.
This is unrelated to a show, but it actually just came up recently that like in our old hood,
drinking at a bar, you know.
Yeah.
It's like people get
fucking crazy at bars and stuff happens. So I mean, thankfully the Proud Boys bark was worse than their bite. We did the show. It was the usual bar shenanigans, just, you know, drunken.
They didn't show. Right?
They didn't show up,
Good.
but you know, that's like on the extreme end, right?
Yeah.
Of, like shit that happens. You know, there's definitely been some family relations that have suffered and fizzled out. Not gonna lie, but I think that's like real talk stuff that happened. But on the positive side, I think for so long we had really hidden this part of our identities, and like this was something super. We just had no idea what, you know, our personal. I don't know, say identity as Satanists would really, you know, do. I mean, so on the positive side, being able to embrace that and, you know, do interviews with you and be like, talk about Satanism and the state of Satanism today and our true, it's super fulfilling.
Good. I'm glad.
Like, we feel whole, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
it was an alchemical process for sure to bring all these parts of ourselves together in a new way.
And I mean, to be honest as well, just like with our career, when we started Twin Temple, we actually had like a management deal in place. We had like labels interested in what we were doing. We had all these pieces that we had worked so hard, like for 10 years, finally coming together. And as we started writing this record, Twin Temple was our first like joint project. We're like, can we play the oldies, but can we write lyrics about hailing Satan? Like, we kind of looked at each other for a while and we brought it up to our team and at the time, and literally all of them were like, do not do this. It will fail so spectacularly. You will never have a career. Like, if you do this, please know that all of us are out. Like, we are walking away from all of this. And so we were like really, I mean, it was a hard decision, to be honest, because we were like, do we legit forfeit so many years of slogging it out in dive bars? It's so much hard work. I mean, we had like a lot of opportunities on the table, you know, through these people. And at the end of the day, it was just like, we just couldn't fucking do it. We couldn't like iron that out of ourselves, you know, like we just couldn't steamroll ourselves and like cut that bit out. It just felt really important to do. So we kind of just took a deep breath and said, thanks, we'll just keep playing the dive bars. And we legit were like, all right, we're just going to keep our day jobs. We're not going to do this professionally. Clearly, this is a turning point for us where it's not happening. Like, our vision and the world and what's possible is impossible. And we're asking to do something impossible. So if we're just like a cult, true Norwegian black metal band with 100 cassettes, fuck it. We're stoked with that because we're doing what we love. Yeah. And at least we have that, you know? So funnily enough, I mean, for the first year, it was dive bars. It was hard. It was slogging it out. But over time, people started coming out of the woodworks being like, hey, I fucking like what you're doing. Like, first it was fans actually showing up to shows and being like, why don't you have any music on Spotify or on vinyl? And we're like, I don't know. Why would you want that? You know, like, and so it started just naturally growing. And now that it's at a point where we're like, holy shit, we get to do what we love and like support ourselves with it. It's kind of mind blowing. And like, I don't regret the decision at all. But there are some like real tough nights there where we're like, wow, are we really like throwing our careers away for this? It seems kind of stupid, but you know.
Like just before, just after we were talking, you were due to play an arena show with Ghost. And I looked at it, and it was, for someone like me, like, I gotta say, just off the back of what you just said, like, it speaks volumes as to, if there's something that runs through all of the artists that I love, it's authenticity. So the sheer will to put it out there and be like, this is our message, this is who we are, we're not gonna deliver it in a way that will put more zeros in everyone's pocket, I think is fucking super admirable. But when I thought about you in that setting with that band, to me, that is like, this is where this lives. What was that like as an evening? Because I've seen you play a hometown sold-out show that was rollicking on a Sunday night, right? Yeah. And then there's that. What did it feel like? And did it feel like a little bit of a taste of the future?
I mean, it was obviously, a dream come true. That was definitely a goal for a long time.
It's like fucking Make-A-Wish Foundation or some shit. I was just like, am I dying? Why do we get to do this? Like,
but I just meant in terms of your art in that space. It being like, there is nothing fucking contained about Twin Temple. Even when you do the Strip from the Crypt stuff, which we'll talk about shortly, your personality is so fucking huge that it never feels understated. So being in an arena setting, is that flamboyant future the one that you imagine for yourself more than where we are at the minute, like the burgeoning cult status?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's, where it goes, we're happy right now just that we're able to do what we do and, that we have fans, because that still blows our mind. We're just like, who are buying these records? Like, my mom can only buy so many records, But I think for both of us, we've always been super inspired by, like, the pageantry of metal, theater. Like, I grew up, being obsessed with, like, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, like Alice Cooper, Yeah, just all that.
Yeah, and always dreaming about how can we make the most outrageous and blasphemous stage production of all. Because we're not a jeans and a t-shirt type of a band. Like, we're definitely always being like, how can we really deliver an insane and theatrical performance to the fans? And that's something always in our mind. And so, it's definitely something we always seek to push the boundary of, for sure. And I don't think anyone does it better than Ghost. I mean, what a fucking show that was. So it was incredible to see what goes into it and just kind of behind the scenes and getting to be in our own small, tiny way a part of that was just amazing. So that was definitely, like, we just all couldn't really believe that we were there, to be honest. And for Tobias to be like, oh, your band is cool. I was like, just like, shut up,
Fuck yeah. He's right. When he's right, and he's right. So I love the use of the word blasphemy in there. I feel like maybe it's the way I'm wired, right? Since I was a kid, if anything has something with a horror element to it, I was into it, and then everything develops from there. Do you feel that you feel I use the word kinship a lot when it comes to this kind of thing, but art that has blasphemy running through its veins, do you feel that it's all connectable? Like, do you feel your art is connected to, I don't know, be it fucking Jaredovsky's Holy Mountain, or you know, like more modern things? Like, do you find a kinship with that kind of thing? And is it almost like a furthering of those kind of legacies, be it Rosemary's Baby or fucking whatever?
Yeah.
You're calling out some of our favorite movies, Beez.
Good. We were made to be friends.
I mean, horror and blasphemy are certainly huge inspirations for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Huge. Yeah, all the Hammer films, from the theatrics and whatnot, but also,
Yeah. And I do think that, like, for us, like, rock and roll has always been about transgression and subverting the norm. And that's, like, what we love about, the early doo-wop and rock and roll that, we are inspired by. Because, it seems really saccharine now with a modern ear listening back to a lot of this stuff. And some of it is because it was basically made by teenagers for teenagers, right? But it totally has that teenage spirit of rebellion. And I think when you start digging deeper, it's like, yeah, Frankie Lyman sang Teenager in Love. But he was also one of the first black men to dance with a white woman on national TV. That ended up him getting death threats, that got the program shut down, that got the entire, people who were watching it completely up in arms. You have Fats Domino singing Blueberry Hill and getting attacked outside of his hotel room. So this was very much music of social change, of rebellion, of questioning the status quo, a lot of times of pushing the boundaries of sexuality, and I think really tearing down the old guard. And it was also uniting, all these people from different walks and kids, like, tearing down those old Jim Crow banners in the middle of venues that prevented them from even being next to one another. So that's also, like, part of where our heads are at with, like, paying tribute and keeping the legacy of this music alive. Is like, to us, it's rooted in blasphemy and pushing back against the old guard. So I definitely think anywhere we find blasphemy, we appreciate it. Sure.
I live for, so I'm going to be coming back to the UK next year to do Download Festival.
Nice.
Fucking,
we'll see you there.
Yes, and I live for getting to see your particular brand of art being in festival fields that is full of almighty amounts of different pockets of rock, metal, alternative, punk, whatever culture, and wherever you go, there will be no one that sounds like you. What's the pros and minuses to that? Because to someone like myself, like, I live for seeing things that excite me that I can't find anywhere else. To someone who wants their 50th flavour of I love Five Finger Death Punch, right? But people who want their 50th flavour of Five Finger Death Punch bumping into you, not necessarily maybe the people that that would come across Twin Temple in ordinary settings. How do you feel about what's coming? Like, in terms of, like, those who know about Twin Temple now know, but that next step into public consciousness, how does that feel to be on the cusp of taking that walk? Like, you'd like that, the foot's in the air, but that step hasn't quite been taken yet.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it all goes, but, like we said, we want to grow this as large as we can, without compromise, so.
That's the key. And I mean, we also know, as much as it's our, like, magical child, and we put so much into it, so it's always a little hard when you get death threats from people who hate what you do. I think we know that what we do isn't for everyone, and, like, quite honestly, we, like, don't give a fuck. If it's not for you, then great. That means you're an individual with your own tastes, and you should have things that you love and that you don't love. Like, and we know because we're super niche and, like, fucking weird, right? Like, the combo of our inspirations is not for everyone, nor should it be. Like, we're definitely not, like, trying to please everyone. So I think for who it's really for. And then for people who don't get it, it's really not for them. And we're okay with that. Because
so something that is fucking brilliant to me is we've got a couple of regular listeners or like people that take part in the channel that are Christian, right? And a bunch, like, some of them like Ghost, and they see it in a performance art way, or like, we're talking like devout Christians. Can you be a devout Christian and be into Twin Temple? And where, like, how does that bridge get melded?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have fans who are Christians. Yeah. I don't really know what their personal take is, but, you know, it's kind of like do what thou wilt, you know. It's like do what you want to do, just don't bother me.
Right. And I think, I mean, in an ideal sense, compassion and tolerance for people who are different from you is built into the Christian religion. So it depends your interpretation and what your stance is. Obviously, there's Christians who do not like us at all. We've definitely come into conflict with Christian organizations for sure. In fact, it was like a Christian hate organization that spearheaded the doxing against us, which seems a little anathemic to the Christian religion.
I think so.
Death threats. So I think, you know, it's totally fine. It's like, it depends on the person. If you have an open mind, I think that's what really matters. Like, we're not anti-Christian at all. Like, we're just ourselves. So however you react to that, that's up to you. And I mean, I definitely think we have people who are like, I'm Catholic, but I like you guys, you know?
Right. Excellent. I'm just glad that attitude exists, because like Zachary, when you were saying there, it's like, do what they want, but don't bother me. But at the same time, like, when you said that everyone has their own reasoning, like within being a Christian, like do you see a bridge? Do you see not a validation, but a validation for someone who's Christian to love Twin Temple?
I guess it's validating that we're. I don't really know. I feel like some Christians have been like, you know, I love the music. You know, I don't really care what the message is.
Right.
You know, I love her voice. You know, I don't care what the lyrics are about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that we seek validation, but I guess that validates what we do on a different level. You know, excluding the concept.
Yeah, I think we're not asking. Nor actually, it would be terrible if everyone thought like we thought and were like we were and believed what we believe. We do not want that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point of individualism, is like, you know, a robustly diverse society with all kinds of different people from different belief systems,
who can also tolerate one another.
Who can tolerate one another. So we're not saying like you have to be a Satanist to like our music, you know, like I like a lot of traditionally Christian music.
Yeah,
like
I
love gospel. The Little Richard's Christian record wasn't so good.
I thought it was pretty good.
But like, you know, Wilson Pickett before going solo, like the Soul Stirrers,
or
early Aretha. I mean, you know, there's no contest there, or staple singers. So like, and obviously some of the Christian themes aren't necessarily things we personally believe, but
the music's great.
But the music's great. So
this is great.
Yeah. So I mean, in an ideal world, people would be like, well, I'm a Christian and, you know, I don't believe what they're saying, but this is their art, you know? Like, we're not telling anyone what to do or what to believe. This is just our beliefs that we're putting out there, because that's the point, right? Yeah, man.
and like, I think that's a really good way of looking at things, because, like, I love Lethal Weapon, but fuck Mel Gibson, right? Like, there's lines to this shit. Last thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is influences. Because I get to talk to, like, all manner of bands, but, like Alexandra, I think because I'm more au fait with big singers, like, I can hear more of your influences than Zachary I can yours. I'm not aware of guitar players of the day. Like, but for both of you, in terms of overall influences, who are the artists that led you into this artistic path? Because when you can play guitar like that and you can sing like that, you can take that in all manner of different ways. Who are the artists who inspired you to take this path?
You go for it.
I mean, as a guitar player, I'm inspired by, Link Ray, the rawness, and like just the raw emotional nature of his guitar playing, obviously like early blues, Robert Johnson, all that kind of stuff. But then like getting a little deeper, like Mickey, he's a great guitar player. He was from like Mickey and Sylvia. They had some cool cuts. Barney Kessel, like basically all the guitar players of the Wrecking Crew, a lot of studio guys who were playing in the 60s, and they were like jazz guys who did rock and roll. But like musically, I feel like, the music is endless, really.
Yeah.
I
feel like a lot of it comes from the songwriting, it's like that's really kind of dictating what's happening is like the songs, and the songs dictate what the guitar wants to do as well, which Ellie Greenwich, she was a great songwriter, obviously. Kind of all the Tin Pan Alley people, the 50s and 60s, all that stuff. And then you have the like troubadours, the singer-songwriters like Roy Orbison, and then up to like Roy Wood, if we're getting into like some later stuff,
right.
Like, he had, I'm sure you're familiar with Roy Wood. Yeah.
Brits typically are.
Yes, yeah. It's like a rite of passage, man.
Yeah.
And Alexandra, yourself, because like I think it's so reductive when I hear people call it a satanic winehouse, right? I think that's. I feel like you will have heard that more than I will have, right? But what is there to it more than that? Because I feel like that's so baseline.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that I do love Amy Winehouse, and I think she's one of the most incredible singers and songwriters of our generation. So when people compare me to the greats like that, I'm just like, sure, I'll take it. Like, I don't think I'm as like good as her, but if people want to put me in that ring, sure, that's fine. So I don't take any offense when people, I mean, if they're like, she's like Barney, like satanic, I don't know, who's like Barney Rubble, but satanic, like I'd be super bummed,
Fair.
Like,
Fair.
I'm just like, fuck yeah, But I don't know, like I definitely am inspired by such a vast, really gamut of singers. I think for me, growing up to like rock scene as like a teenager and whatnot, it was really hard to find role models like on a main platform that like looked like me, so obviously when I first started out, I was mostly in like punk bands. I found out about singers like Cherie Currie and the Runaways, and that was like a huge inspiration for me just to see like women on stage and stuff like that. But I also like a lot of jazz. I grew up loving like Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald and a lot of the blues singers. Like definitely blues was like one of my early areas that I really, really love, like Big Mama Thornton and Bessie Smith and all the blues singers. But I also just love like all the girl group stuff, doo-wop, and like Ronnie Spector, so amazing, Leslie Gore, like all of those singers. But I also really love like a lot of country artists. Like Loretta Lynn is maybe one of my all-time favorite singers. Especially her lyrics are such an inspiration for me because I think she had this really tough as nails, like whiskey in a teacup kind of attitude, and she was real talk with her songs. I love her song where she's like, I'm on the fucking pill, and I wear my short shorts and I don't have to have any more kids. Like as a Satanist or whatever, that like resonates with me. So I mean, it's really vast. And I mean, when I was really little, I used to sing along to a lot of like 90s R&B in my room. Like I loved like those groups as well. So it's like really, really vast. Like we listen to a lot of music and are inspired by a lot of music, but if I had to put like a umbrella on it, just like classic American, and other countries too, really, but just like golden era classic rock and roll. Basically anything that birthed rock and roll, from like blues,
jazz, country,
jazz and country, to where it went, like doo-wop and R&B, soul, to like I would argue that like glam and like metal and all of those are born out of the blues and jazz and all those early predecessors. So I love where it went there too, because I love all the like metal singers, and it's just too vast. I mean, people always ask us, like, what's like one artist you really love or singer, and I'm just like, how much time you got? Because
the thing is, it's
hard.
It's the kind of trite question that is usually beneath me, but because you guys have influences that I know shit all about, I just wanted to ask you so that I can make a list of everything that you just said and check out loads of shit.
Okay, so but real quick too, you gotta, if you love us, it's like Roy Orbison.
Yeah.
Also, just like the Platters.
And the Drifters.
And like Del Shannon.
Perfect.
And like the Penguins, like Rosie and the Originals, like anything that would sound good blasting out of a lowrider, you know.
If you can find Lieber and Stoller. Lieber and Stoller were a duo of producers and songwriters, and they wrote just like every song in the 50s that was great up to the 60s. So like Lieber and Stoller, anything they touched was great.
And also like Goffin and King. Because it's about the songs for us, really, you know, as well. Like, we really are inspired by songs and songwriters and, like, you know, whatever, so.
And I would argue that the most exciting thing when I look at Twin Temple's future is that the latest songs that you've released since the record have been my favourite things that you've done, and I like the record enough for 10 people. Where the music goes next, is it about expansion? Like, it feels like there is so much terrain that Twin Temple can explore. Is it a little bit about spreading the wings at this point?
We could tell you what the next album sounds like, but we would have to kill you. Beez.
Very fair, very fair, very fair.
We have to try to take that in. What does album 2 sound like?
You're on to me. I don't like it. Stop putting that message out there. People will be on to me. Amazing.
I think that we're always going to sound like us because our influences aren't going to 180. You know, it's not like we're going to be like a satanic trap band next or anything, you know. As much as we love, you know, electronic music and everything, like not going to diss any genre of music, but it's not really what we listen to and love. So it's going to, you know, be real. It's going to be organic. There's going to be like real instruments, real, you know, like craft of songwriting. But where it goes, nobody knows.
I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked.
I mean, you're still going to be hailing Satan.
Yes, I would expect nothing less on that front. One last question then, because I've been gassing for all this time and I haven't spoken to you about Strip from the Crypt, which is scandalous.
Oh, right.
So that the thing that we're promoting here, and when it comes to how much did it bring extra things out of those songs for you and for your audience, because they're like, to strip it down to that, like I said earlier, I don't think it, like, there's so much personality bursts out of your music, and when people strip things down, it's usually about making it more intimate, but I didn't feel that despite the other instruments disappearing. What did you get out of Strip from the Crypt? And for people who are not aware, it's like exactly what it says. The songs broken down into just guitar and vocals, and an incredible visual performance if you've seen them.
Thank you. I mean, those really, we never intended to put them out or make a record for them at all. I mean, like with most things we do, we kind of just do stuff, and then if fans ask us to, you know, put on a record, we do. Like, those were really just right after all of our tours got canceled for the foreseeable future. We were kind of bummed, and I think everyone was bummed, and so we were just like, why don't we do these Sunday rituals? So we held these Sunday church services, basically, to try and spread our satanic blessings to people, and then at the end, we would perform a song. And it was just like, it wasn't meant to be an album, it was just like me and Zach in a room, one take, playing the song for people like on our YouTube channel, just really, really chill. But, you know, I guess for whatever reason, people enjoyed them and were like, oh, I would love to hear this on vinyl. And people kept saying that. And we're like, really? Okay, well, you know, so we just kind of tarted them up a bit. You know, we mixed them. You know, we cut out some of the, like, you know, more egregious live stuff, like I don't know. I think I sneezed in one, or like stuff like that.
Yeah,
I really didn't need to be there or whatever. So we cleaned it up, and then we mastered them, and we pressed them. So that's really how it came about. We never intended to make that record. It was just sort of our little quarantine baby,
Well, I'm glad that we finally got this introductory piece out to everyone. I was very, very tempted to die getting the information about album 2, but we'll leave it for a future chat. Zachary and Alexandra from Twin Temple, thanks so much for your time on this Friday afternoon.
So always a diabolical pleasure.
Don't forget to like and share this video and join me on Twitch every Tuesday, Friday and Saturday for guest hangouts, new music votes, tier lists, band-specific competitions, weekly merch roundups and much, much more. That's twitch.tv/Mosh Talks. Find the link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and I'll see you on KNOTFEST.com for all of the latest news, features and much more from the worlds of rock, metal and beyond.